Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Betty Ray. I have been blessed to be a channel for Archangel Raphael. Now, the stained glass angel behind me is an angel that I was inspired to create a long time ago. I didn't do the stained glass, I had an artist do it. But I wanted to come to you today and talk to you about something that I think is very interesting. I had an email from a dear friend of mine, Anne, I'll give her name, and she wrote this. Good morning, Betty Ray, and hope you are well. I realize you have stated repeatedly that you want to stay out of politics on your show. However, I wonder if the Archangel would be willing to speak briefly about the state of our country and the possibility of healing. There's so much civil unrest and violence incited by those in leadership. There's so much fear and lying and what appears to be a collective effort to undermine and destroy our democracy. It's difficult to maintain a sense of joy and compassion and understanding during this crisis. What guidance can Raphael provide for us as we try to move through this challenge? Thank you so very much. Peace and blessings, Anne. I'm so glad that Anne wrote that. It was almost as though Raphael had sent her to talk about it, because it's not been Betty Ray and Raphael who have been wary of talking politics, because we have spoken up quite a few times if you look back at our videos. In fact, at one point in time, we did a video on the 7 deadly sins, asking the question, was Trump the Antichrist? Well, anyone who goes against the teachings of Christ, who spoke of loving one another as God has loved you, anyone who goes against that, who has, well, should we say, selfish interests that go against what is good for the whole, then I have to tell you that they are probably not as Christian as we would speak. But even those people who are Christians are not always acting according to the principles of the Christ. And so today we've come to you to speak about how we are going into a raising of consciousness. In fact, many, many years ago, Raphael said that there would be a raising of consciousness once we became aware of transparency in politics. He spoke of this years ago. I spoke about it. Transparency in politics, he said, means a lie will be shown as a lie and truth as truth. And we have seen this. This is what's brought about fact checking. It didn't exist before Donald Trump took office. It's because, well, maybe it did exist. I don't know that for a fact, but it wasn't brought out so much. And the fact that fact checking has said that Donald Trump has told over 17,000 lies, according to fact checking. He doesn't even know he's telling lies. He only knows that he speaks from his heart. And because he has an anxiety and fear that his needs won't be met, he just says whatever comes into his head in that moment in time. He's a salesman. He always has been a salesman. Now, some people would add that he's a con artist, and that is because he tells lies to get what he needs to get. And that is a reflection, dear ones, of a baby soul. Now, the Europeans had it right. They actually had a float of a great big giant baby in diapers that looked just like Donald Trump. The whole country, or the whole world, saw Donald Trump as he is, a baby soul, one who will have temper tantrums if he doesn't get his own way. Now, if that isn't talking politics on a spiritual channel, it was not me that was against talking politics. I had one person on my radio show who got very upset anytime I talked politics or let Raphael talk politics. And so that's what we're referring to. we do not want to bring forth any negativity into our channel. And when we speak of politics, we are trying to also bring forth the truth. And because there have been so many untruths coming from our political scene for those politicians who have followed Trump, who have been his, well, whatever he says goes kind of a person, we have had a terrible 4 years, and it has just gotten worse. But let me say to you, Raphael said, oh, probably before Trump was even in office, to watch politics, the transparency in politics, and you will know it will be the time of times, I'm quoting Raphael, when there will be a raising of consciousness, a lifting up of spirits, a learning to look toward God and goodness rather than fear and anxiety and lies and untruths and whatever. When you raise your emotional barometer up above your fears and anxieties, you will find joy because you have free will to look at things as you choose to look at them. It is a beautiful time in history. Donald Trump has been a wonderful example of baby souls on our planet. They are, I gotta get my hands away from this. They are the souls that have no experience about the consequences of their choices. And their soul takes on a physical body to, to demonstrate what they want to create in the physical world. Donald Trump wanted to create wealth and everything that his physical needs needed. I'm not saying this very well, but in other words, he was very much into his own physical needs, which is why he had so many wives and so many mistresses, because he was listening to his sexual needs. And he was also listening to his need for power, to be able to rule the world. And in The Apprentice, he had that great joy of saying, "You're fired." And that was kind of addictive for him. So he carried it right through in the presidency. Now, let me say, this is not a judgment of a soul, it is an explanation of a baby soul that doesn't know the consequences of its actions. And in this lifetime, he was not going to learn it, even though he had experiences of what, 7 bankruptcies, even though he claimed to be a very rich man and he claimed to be, a billionaire, which he wasn't. In fact, now he's in so much debt that, we don't even know what can happen to him when Deutsche Bank comes after him for all the money he has borrowed. He's going to be in deep doo-doo. And when the New York legislators come after him for all the things that he's done as a president, he's also going to be in deep what. So it's a time in history that we can look at without fear, because the wonderful thing that Trump has done for us is he has proven that our democracy works. We've proven to the entire world, and they've been watching us. They have seen so many other countries who lost their democracy to some person who wanted to be a demigod like Trump did. And they have been so fearful that America would succumb to that kind of tyranny, which is what it is, which is Putin's Russia. He is a tyrant. He has people killed if they don't do things his way. And so people have been watching. And this is where Trump has been good for us in the United States. I know you might have trouble believing that, but it's true. They have seen how we have gone through, actually, we've gone through all of the channels that have tried to restrict Donald Trump from doing things that would harm our country. And even although we've had so many people that have followed him like a god, and someone said like he's drinking the Kool-Aid, like they're drinking the Kool-Aid because they're following him blindly without checking the facts. to find out that last I heard it was over 17,000 lies that he has told because he just says what he thinks in the moment. He doesn't remember even history to speak of it. I've never been good at history, but I don't speak of things I know nothing about. And he speaks of anything he knows nothing about. So, to clarify to all of you on this channel, it was not me who was against talking politics on our spiritual channel, because Raphael wanted to warn us about this man who was just a baby soul. But there was no judgment or condemnation of this man. Donald Trump is beloved of God as you are. There's never any judgment. And because of that, Donald Trump is human and will experience the consequences of his choices as a human or sentient being. It is the law of balance. It's not karma, although a lot of people will say, well, he's really got a lot of karma to pay back. That's not the way it works. God does not pay back. God does not set us up to experience what we did wrong in a previous lifetime. God sets us up sometimes. I can vouch for that. But it's always to send us in a direction that will give us more wisdom and knowledge about what it's like to be a sentient being on planet Earth. Now, this message that we are bringing to you today is so important because you need to understand that although justice will come to Donald Trump for all of the crimes he has committed against our country, it will come. We may not know about it, but it always comes. What goes around does come around, but it's like a boomerang. If you send out goodness and beauty and kindness and compassion, that comes back to you. You are given that back. But if you send out selfishness and negativity and ugliness, that's what you're going to experience. That's how you are constantly creating your life. So we would say to you again, as we did in the last video, pay attention to your ability to be compassionate for others, to be forgiving of others. Oh, we have someone who came in. Oh, here is someone saying that Biden is pro-abortion, Trump is not. So you are condemning Biden because you believe that he will kill babies, because that's usually the way that is presented. What we are seeing here is fear and anxiety that your moral principles will not be followed by a man like Joe Biden. Let us assure you, Raphael and I, that Joe Biden is the most moral, generous, compassionate man you can ever find. And he will not rule on anything. He has already said the Justice Department has their own people in charge. He is not doing what Trump did in trying to rule every department and firing them if they don't say things the way he wants them to. So what you are for or against is not relevant at this time. Sure, Biden is going to maybe make some mistakes, but he is going to first check with all of the people that have the knowledge and wisdom. Like, for example, the scientists regarding the coronavirus and the idea of having a vaccine. This is something that is up to the scientists, that is not up to a president to determine what it should be, except to encourage the scientists to bring to us what we need to know. This is the difference. Donald Trump wants to do everything. He wants to be in charge of everything. He wants credit for anything that goes or down that is good, and he is not going to accept, as he said, no, I don't accept responsibility for that. He won't accept responsibility for anything that goes wrong because he's just a baby soul. Little kids will, have the cookie in their mouth and say, I didn't steal a cookie. He's been caught red-handed, Donald Trump has. So you see, it isn't me who's against politics, Anne. It was against people like this young man who is saying something negative about Biden. They have an anxiety and fear about what they have heard in the political way of saying things. Again, most of them are lies. So, oh, yes. Now Steve is coming back. His name is Steve. He's saying Biden is pro transgender, even for children. Well, let's talk about that a minute. First of all, the soul, everybody has a soul. And before the soul comes to this planet, it chooses the DNA from its parents to decide what gender it's going to have or what other thing it's going to have. For example, Raphael has spoken about homophobia that people have. When a soul has been a female for many, many lifetimes and it comes in as a male, it still thinks female. And so it looks for females to be its partner. It did it for so many lifetimes, it's thinking that way. And so that's what explains why we have people of the same sex that are falling in love with one another. This is not a judgment because they are following their soul's plan for the life. And Raphael has spoken about this. Our book is about to be published. It is a question and answer. And Raphael does talk about this in the book. It is going to be called Ask Raphael, and it should be on Amazon before the end of the month or at least the first of next year. It's called Ask Raphael, and it's got a beautiful cover of a beautiful angel on it. So look for it. And you'll get some of these questions, Steve. They will be answered. Don't be afraid of Joe Biden. He is a moral man, but he is not one to tell you what your morals should be. And that's where you have to let go of that as well. You cannot be a judge of another person, for what goes around comes around, and you're going to have people judging you that'll make you angry. So instead, have compassion for those who have come into this world to help balance the male-female energy. Oh, dear ones, that's the purpose of every lifetime, to balance your own inner male-female energy, as well as anything that you've brought in that has left you crippled as a soul, and it needs to be addressed. Fear and anxiety and doubt, self-doubt especially, are the biggest cripplers of a soul in trying to be a sentient being on planet Earth. You are a scientific explorer of your planet, and you've been given a whole package of emotions to go along with it. This is something souls don't experience. They don't feel your emotions. They see it, they empathize with it, but they don't feel it. You, as a sentient being, have a whole barrel full of emotions that you have to deal with. And right now, Steve is dealing with the fear that we have elected a president who is going to be against all of your moral values. And I say to you, it is not something that Biden would ever interfere with. That would be something that goes to the courts. This is where you misunderstand who Joe Biden is. He's not going to dictate morals. He's going to leave that up to the courts or to whatever it is that we have. The point is, he is giving the courts freedom. He is not trying to bribe them. He's not trying to influence the courts as Trump did. He tried to influence the Supreme Court, and guess what? He didn't do it because they voted against him, 100% unanimous. So this is kind of funny when you think about it. When you try to manipulate and control a whole government, you are in for a chore that cannot be mastered. This is why we have democracy, and Trump almost destroyed our democracy. But this again, where Trump has been a gift to our country and to the entire world, because we have proven that someone who tries to be a leader like Putin, for how many years he's been in office, calls himself president sometime and something else another time, and kills anybody who tries to get in his way. And who's been his best friend but Donald Trump? It is a just delicious story that our grandkids will look back and say, oh, I'm so proud to be an American. I'm so proud to say that those who tried to destroy our democracy were indeed destroyed themselves. This is a time of joy, dear one. This is a time to know that Joe Biden is not going to make any decisions whatsoever about, about abortion, about transgender. That's not what a president does. That's up to individuals' free choice. You cannot judge another, lest you be judged. Jesus said that a long time ago, and he meant that because God doesn't judge. The Father in heaven does not judge you. You are judging yourself. You are saying what you believe is truth, and that is right and good for you to do. Do not, please, be anxious for this new government that is coming on. It is going to be wonderful. Raphael predicted that Biden would win, months and months ago. And I have a dear friend who was very anxious that Trump would get in again. And I said, Raphael has said it's a done deal, that it is for our country to have a good leader and to rise up again in the eyes of the world as a nation to be respected and to be listened to. For Joe Biden will not make decisions about abortion or anybody about transgenders or any, that's not his job. And he will not do that in any way. He will use our government as it was meant to be used. It is the will of the people that will speak. And if you have something you want to say, talk to your state representative and say what you want to say, because that is what it means, a representative to the government. Talk to your state senator and your state spokesperson or anybody who is in government of your concerns and let them be passed on to Biden, and Biden will probably speak in answer to your question, Steve. I can tell you right now that Biden has a morals of his own. He has high morals of his own because of the way he was raised. But he is not a dictator. Donald Trump was trying to be a dictator. He was trying to set up the courts that would follow his dictates, but it didn't work. Even the people he put into the Supreme Court voted against his desire to continue ruling our country as a dictator. I hope that this has cleared things up. And Steve, thank you so much for coming with your questions. Know that you can email me if you need more information directly, personally for you at angelbettyray@gmail.com. Anne is speaking now again. She said, so many refuse to even acknowledge that Biden is elected freely and fully and lawfully. I agree, Anne. That's because, as some people have said, the followers of Trump are baby souls who have drunk the Kool-Aid. They are worshiping this leader as a demigod. And that's how Trump wants them to be. Trump wants them to think that their IRAs and their investments are safe with him. But if we choose anybody else, they're going to find that their money is going to go down the drain. He is a fearmonger. He wants you to believe that if he isn't in office, everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. On the contrary, his 4 years has sent us through hell and back because he is only interested in what he needs in the moment. That's what babies do. You let a baby crawl on the floor and whatever's on there is going to go in their mouth because they are into their physical needs first and primary. That's the way a soul is. But with many lifetimes, you get better and better at seeing truth, better and better at creating goodness and beauty and compassion and understanding for the world. Look at some of our wise old souls. Look at the Dalai Lama. Look at those leaders that you admire. They are old souls. They are not acting on their own personal emotional needs. They are acting on their ability to speak truth and have compassion for others. This is what you need to watch for in your leadership. And so, even though people refuse to acknowledge Biden as our president elect, he will be inaugurated on January 20th. And believe me, I'll be there at my lounge chair watching my big screen TV and cheering him on, because I can tell you, Raphael has already predicted that our country is going to be lifted up out of this depression, and all that we need to take care of the virus with the vaccine, he will see to it that it is being done, because he will bring forth people who know, like Dr. Fauci is already on Joe Biden's team. Dr. Fauci is the scientist that really knows about what is going on. And Trump refused to let him even say that we need to wear a mask when we go out. And just because there's a vaccine, people, don't be fooled. The virus is still floating around. And innocent people who are carrying the virus and not showing any symptoms can be spreaders. This is why we need tracing. We need to have people tested. We need to be able to follow where somebody is spreading it and not even knowing they're doing it. So if somebody is going around without a mask on and they're spreading it, God bless them. They are not being judged by God. And so do not be afraid. This is what we can say: rejoice and be glad. Joe Biden will bring our country back into the world as a leader of all the world. Already, people from all over the world have been congratulating him on getting the office. They know what they've dealt with Donald Trump. I'm seeing a picture now where Donald Trump is with a bunch of really celebrities as far as politics goes, and he elbows his way right through so he can be in front and see that everybody can see him. That's a baby soul. Baby souls want attention. That's why they cry when they don't get the attention they want. Well, Donald Trump screams. And so, Anne, I can say to you, it was not me that avoided speaking of politics on our channel and our radio show every Tuesday at noon. It's now a TV show as well. So tune in to us every Tuesday at noon on W4WN Radio. And so you'll see us again on Tuesday. And every Thursday, I'm coming to you at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and bringing you the wisdom of an archangel. I am so filled with joy that Biden is now our president, and he is already acting as a president. And this irritates Donald Trump something fierce, because we're hearing about his cabinet members. You've already seen what Donald Trump had as a cabinet member. Most of them are in jail or being indicted. What does that say about the man? It says a lot. But what Donald Trump has done, he has selected the best of the best and put them on his cabinet, and he will listen to them. He will not just throw them away and say, you're fired because you're not doing it the way I think it should be done. Biden is the one who will say the buck stops here. Yes, he will have a cabinet, a group of very, very professional, educated, whatever, knowledgeable people who will advise him. He's wise enough to know he can't know it all, contrary to Donald Trump, who thinks he knows it all and who will not accept responsibility for anything that is bad. Just like a little child with his hand in the cookie jar. Who, me? I didn't try to steal a cookie. Oh, my dear friends, rejoice and be glad that Joe Biden is going to be our president. And Kamala Harris is going to be a vice president that will be there for you and for all of the country to bring about peace and harmony and joy to all of us. I just don't want to keep going on, but I want to thank Anne again for her wonderful email so that we could speak of this today. So Anne, I thank you. And I do pray for all those who refuse to acknowledge our new president-elect, Joe Biden, because it is a fact. It was a fact. It was so easy to see on election night that Joe Biden had the electoral votes. bingo, he was already the president. And so, in spite of the fact and the patience of all of these judges that Donald Trump has gone to try and throw out our votes, it didn't happen because our democracy is strong and our democracy is a light, a beacon to all other people of the world who seek to have freedom of speech, freedom to elect the people they desire to be their ruling government people. All right. So we're going to leave it at that. You notice I have all kinds of Christmas stuff going on. I put up my tree and it gives me joy. I hope that even if you are not a Christian and don't use a Christmas tree, that your Hanukkah is the most beautiful of your entire year, that you are so filled with joy when you give thanks to God. For it doesn't matter what religion you have, you are all children and beings of light that God has created to come to planet Earth. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter if you're male or female or transgender. You have a soul, and that soul is a magnificent being of light. And that's why I encourage you to email us for a reading, because Raphael will show you the soul. I see it as a huge column of light, and it is sparkling with little beads of light that are in color. And the color of your soul tells me what your purpose for the life is, the way you will look at the world. And any questions that you may have, Raphael will help you to understand and give you answers. So don't hesitate, angelbettyray@gmail.com. And we will set up a time, no matter where you are on the planet. We have been reading for people all across the world for, oh, I can't even count the number of years that we've been doing this. And at one time I did charge quite a bit until I got to be in my 80s and I decided it was time to pay it forward. And so I'm no longer charging. And some people think something's got to be wrong with me that I'm no longer charging. But I've been blessed by being a retired teacher. I have an income, and I am, even though I'm very frugal, I don't spend a lot of money. I go to used clothing stores. I don't go to the beauty parlor except maybe to get my hair cut. And that's it. I love being a channel for your Archangel Raphael. He's not mine, he's yours as well. And all the other archangels, Gabriel and Michael and Uriel, there are many of them. Call on all of them, dear friends. Do not just think Raphael is the only one with the answers. These are beings of light that are closest to God. They are the interpreters of the God mind. That's one way of saying it. They can speak in any language. They know all of the languages. They know your heart language. And so don't hesitate to tune in to your own guardian angel. And the secret to doing that is, number one, deep breathing. That means you go down to your gut. You take that, you blow that lung up so it pushes the diaphragmatic muscle out and your stomach expands. It doesn't do anything up here. If you take a shallow breath, it looks like this. Your shoulders raised, your neck gets tight, and you suck your gut in. Wrong. Now, I was a vocal music teacher. I've taught people to sing for many years. I had many choirs, church organists, and I taught people how to breathe. And people would say, if I didn't know how to breathe, I'd be dead. And they're right, except they don't breathe. They breathe shallow. And it causes them all kinds of physical problems. So begin doing abdominal breathing. That's the first thing to get to a meditative state. The second thing is to relax the body while you're doing the deep breathing. And you do that by tightening every muscle and then relaxing. You start with your toes and you tighten them up and then you let them relax. And you would up your buttocks, you tighten it, and you breathe and you let it relax. And all the time that you're doing this, you're doing abdominal breathing. What this does is get you close to the sleep state. And when you get to the sleep state, you can begin to have visions and you can begin to be intuitive because you're letting go of the conscious mind that is constantly batting back and forth, positive, negative, fear, anxiety. And then that's the next thing you do. You raise your consciousness out of fear and anxiety, and you rejoice and are glad and are praising God. And in that state, you can talk to your angels. So relax, breathe deeply, use your playful imagination as a child. That's what Jesus meant when he said, unless you become as little children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And where is the kingdom of heaven? Right here within you, right here. Because God dwells within everyone. God is the energy by which everything exists. We've all said this, that our faith believers, that God is in everyone and everything. Well, we didn't know that it is a scientific fact. The energy by which we exist is God in manifestation, God in physical reality. That's why we can't judge anyone or anything, because every soul that comes to this planet to learn how to be a sentient being, how to navigate in this world, is listening to the inner guidance within them. And if they have fear and anxiety, they're listening to the dark side, because you will express and you will create everything that you believe is truth. And this is why it's so hard to get through to people who are emotionally involved. They can't look at the facts because their emotions block it out. They can't look at the facts because of their honor and respect for Donald Trump and their belief that he was the person that saved our country. If they have that strong belief, you can't just talk it away. You have to understand that they are full of fear that their needs won't be met. And that fear is what motivates them to continue to follow the darkness, which is to use force to create what you desire. The belief that anger will get you what you need. You have to be forceful. You have to do it through force, which is not true. Only through love can you create a world that you desire. Because if you create force, if you have an anger problem, you are living in hell. I know this seems harsh, but dear ones, be at peace and rejoice that Joe Biden is now going to be our president. You will see we are telling the truth. You can be at peace and know that we will finally have a government that is for the people and of the people and always for you. And so for now, come back again on Tuesday and listen to us on the radio. We're also on iHeartRadio and on Pandora, and I don't know, 9 channels altogether. I understand we have 11,000 viewers on our radio show. I'm hoping that this one will also gather some viewers. So please tell people about our Thursday, 11 o'clock video, where we will talk about anything you ask us. So you can chat, it's live, you can ask questions. And Steve, I thank you for coming. And I thank you for exposing your fears about our new president. But we assure you, Raphael and I, that Biden is going to be a man of the people, not for his own gain personally or financially. And so be at peace about that. And Anne, thank you so much for your question in your email. And I encourage all of you to email me at angelbettyray@gmail.com and ask for a reading. It's free. We will set up a time. It's Eastern Standard Time because we live in Florida. And people from all around the world, we sometimes use Skype. I have clients in Ireland and Norway, and we just use Skype so that we can talk and it isn't expensive. Don't hesitate to call upon us. That's why we're here. We love all of you because you are the image of God in manifestation. We honor you and your soul and your desires, and we honor your questions and your fears and anxieties. And we are here to bring the golden light of truth to you through the wonderful Archangel Raphael. Until next time, next Thursday at 11 o'clock a.m. or Tuesday noon Eastern Standard Time. Do tune in. Do please tell other people about our channel and ask them to subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, bye for now.